Hey guys, it's Jerry. I'm with Jeff, and today we're going to talk about the new Tesla Model Y. So, why did Tesla make this car?
Make money, of course.
Alright, so this is a 5-seater with 2-seat extra option. So it's a 7-seater mid-size SUV made by Tesla that's all electric, and it has potentially 300-mile range in the long-range version.
As we can just put the spec sheet up right now, right?
Alright, that's a spec sheet. Tesla unveiled the car at their design studio, and after the unveiling, the stock dropped 7% because investors were really disappointed. They probably expected something really extraordinary, but it was pretty much like 75% was just a Model 3, and they made it 10% bigger with a hatch, and now it's a Model Y. Yeah, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think one is because they're used to Elon always having some kind of surprise at these events, and this is probably the first time where he just showed the product, talked a little about it, and that was it. There was no and then. We have this. So a lot of the Elon fans were kind of disappointed in that, but I think this actually marks a turning point in Tesla's history, because now they are showing that, okay, we can do this now. We can actually make a ton of cars. So now let's make another product that helps us, make extra money, helps us capture additional customers, because we're offering another product that fills a need that wasn't being met before, right? And that's SUVs. Elon says 75% same parts, and you can tell with the car, a lot of it is the same. And that's a good thing, That means no delays, right? We don't have to wait for this car to come out because most of it's already developed. And that also means that the car is going to be more reliable, right? When the X came out, people had a lot of issues with that car, right?
Right.
The doors, because the doors were new, people had a lot of issues with that. So actually, by not introducing new stuff, it makes the car a lot better.
I think it shows that Tesla is maturing up as a company. It's not just creating novelty items like the Model S and the Model X, the Falcon doors. It's actually making, just general products that people are actually gonna buy in mass amounts. I think the main selling point of the car is the panoramic roof. That was a huge change.
Yeah. And
the 7 seats. I mean, those are the two huge changes that sets it apart from the Model 3. But the panoramic roof, unlike the Model X, Model X, the roof, it actually extends. So from a driver's perspective, you don't see the bar right here, right? So it's like, oh wow, it's a huge view.
Yeah.
But for the Model Y, there's a bar right here.
Yeah.
But the panoramic roof is actually huge in the back. So from a passenger's perspective, you can see the whole sky.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought those were two really amazing points about the car.
Yeah. For me, I think I was surprised by the third row seat at the unveil. I wasn't expecting it, because it's the same wheelbase as the Model 3, so I wasn't expecting them to be able to fit a third row seat. And I heard rumors about it online before the unveiling. People were talking about, oh, it might actually have a third row seat. And when they, at the unveil, they were showing the employees getting out of the car, I started counting. Oh wait, that's more than 5. Oh, it's got a third row seat.
That was Elon's point.
Yeah, so that was I thought that was quite clever.
Yeah. And
although those seats look pretty tiny, and with the sloping roof line, I don't think you're gonna be able to get a average size adult in the back. I think it will be good because you've got a lot of these mid-size 3-row SUVs out there, like the Q7, that doesn't have a big third row seat either, and that car is huge.
Right.
It's just like an occasional use third row seat for kids mostly. And that's most people buy 7-seaters for kids. They're not seating 7 adults. So just having that, no other. If we're talking about luxury mid-size SUVs, no one really has that, right? X3,
Q5.
GLC, Q5, none of those have that. You have to step up to the next stage, you know, Q7, GLE, X5, those both now have third row seat options now. Right. So you have to step up to the next class where normally you'd have to get the Model X, but now you can get it on the Model Y, which is a much lower price point.
Right.
So I think that could be a game changer.
People who are gonna look at this car are people who are family oriented. They want the extra space for, you know, their kids or extra family members that might come. So they might be looking at the Q5, the GLC, the BMW X3, and there's nothing really fully electric in the market right now. In 2 years or so, it's gonna be a different landscape, you know, with each of those companies pushing out their own mid-size, you know, that electric SUVs.
Other competitors actually have plug-in hybrid options. So there's going to be a iX3, right? That's going to be fully electric.
Right.
But I think BMW is going to have a X330e, just
30e.
like the 3 Series, right?
Right. It's a hybrid.
Yeah, so it's a plug-in hybrid. You still get like 30 miles of range, which is like good enough for most people's commutes.
Yeah.
And then you can still, you know, do those long road trips just the same as you would normally.
Right.
And then Mercedes actually has a GLC 350e out right now, so kind of the same thing. So I think it'd be interesting to see if people maybe are just willing to step into a plug-in hybrid for the meantime. Or, you know, they might want to go full electric.
The main selling point, for especially when I bought the Model 3,
Yeah.
Which I don't have anymore because of an accident, but I think the main reason is the autopilot, right?
Yeah,
it's just industry
definitely.
leading. There's, well, except for GM's Super Cruise,
Yeah.
but its autopilot is I think it's a defining factor between the Model Y and its competitors, right?
Yeah.
Like it's, especially on a 405, you know, when
Yeah.
there's traffic, you don't want to worry about driving. It's so much stress. You
Yeah.
just put on autopilot for long distance drives too. Going to Vegas,
Yep.
it's just so much more convenient, and it's totally worth the $5,000. It's $3,000 now, right? They lowered it.
Yeah, 3,000 now for the basic autopilot.
Right.
And I think that's honestly, it's all you need. You know, I have the navigate. I also have a Model 3, and I feel like those extra features right now don't really work that well. Like the navigate on autopilot is not the best. Neither is the auto lane change.
Yeah, it's gimmicky.
It's pretty gimmicky too.
Yeah.
All I care about is that the car stays in the lane and it goes, you know, it keeps up with the traffic and it doesn't just slam on the brakes randomly.
Right.
There's a lot of people that want an electric car, but they might live in like a condo or an apartment. Charging's not convenient for them, you know, especially, you know, people our generation, you know, they probably don't live in like a house, you know, they probably live in an apartment or a condo, and it's not always easy to be able to charge your car when you don't have your own, you know, either you don't have your own parking spot, or you don't have a garage where you have a plug or you can install a plug. So I think that's a big thing driving, you know, making it harder for people to do the switch. I'm actually, I don't know if range is like a huge issue, especially when people have families. When they're on road trips, they're gonna stop anyways. So like I just came back, I just went around, I went to go see the wildflower bloom. I started out in LA, drove down to Lake Elsinore, which is like 60, 70 miles. Stopped in Temecula for lunch, and I used a supercharger there. And then we did a big loop. We went up through the Salton Sea. We had to go quite uphill, so burned more range than I expected. When I did the math, I thought I would only have to do one stop. I ended up having to do two, actually. The amount of time that we stopped wasn't much more than we would have needed to stop normally anyways.
Like our Model S, when we take it to Vegas, it's gonna add like 40 40 minutes of extra charging time to
Right.
to the trip. And with the new V3 supercharging station
Yeah.
coming out, 1,000 miles per hour,
Yeah.
it's gonna be more convenient for us to drive. So Tesla's interior design is really minimalistic. There really isn't anything but a screen and a wheel, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people question, like, is that luxurious, right? But I feel like that's the whole point of the car, right? I know they're trying to save costs in a lot of areas because they're a new company.
Yeah.
But how they designed it is to take stress away from, just looking at different things. And it has autopilot, so it's supposed to drive for you. And that's the focus of the car, like,
Yeah.
ultimately. So they don't want you to focus on like the AC vent, the
Yeah.
volume button, even the glove box button, right? They
Yeah.
took that out and put it into the screen.
Yeah. It's like a very neutral space. I feel like I think it makes you feel comfortable, but it's definitely not like I wouldn't say it's luxurious in the traditional sense of like you're surrounded by all these rich materials. I think the material quality is pretty good. If not like better than its competitors. Like everything is soft touch. However, I do have to say that the layout is I still think it's a little unsafe sometimes. I feel like the car was designed for you to have to get autopilot.
Right.
Because a lot of times when you're driving with this car and you want to make adjustments like to the temperature or to the radio, or if you want to look at something on the map, or even just to check your speed, you have to, look to the middle and take attention away from direct heads on.
Right.
Like I would love to have like a heads-up display.
Right. That would
Just
be
to
perfect.
to see like the speed or like navigation direction, so I don't have to take my eyes off of the road. But I do have to say that the autopilot helps you out and it lets you kind of see what's around you a little bit more. Like when I was on this road trip, I found myself looking outside a lot more than just focusing on driving, because it gave me the ability.
Yeah, you're like a passenger. Right?
Yeah, I'm more like a passenger that's along for the ride versus actively driving.
Right.
And although I was still paying attention, I didn't feel the need to pay 100%
Right.
focus on the task of driving itself. And I think in that sense, to me, that's a luxury. So it's like luxury in a different sense.
Point.
It's luxury from the stress of driving, luxury from missing things while you're driving, because a lot of times if you're on a road trip and people say, oh look, there was something, and when you're the driver you can't always look, but in this car you kind of can. I guess for some people that's a negative because they like the act of driving.
Right.
So they would say, oh, then that's reducing my pleasure from driving, I guess, or the enjoyment that I get. And I kind of agree with that. It's something that I got used to, but I drive my Model 3 as a commuter appliance.
Yeah.
So it's a plus for me. It just keeps me less tired than normally from driving. For me, it does its job perfectly, which is
it's a plus, right?
Yeah, it's like taking the train, but it's not, right? So
the pleasure of driving, like we both like to drive.
Yeah.
But that's only like 10% of our time.
Exactly.
Where we go hard out, right? And you don't want to drive a race car every day, have the impracticality of a race car every day, 90% of your time you're just going to work, you're going to meet up with friends, and just for that 10% extra driving pleasure, right? So I guess Tesla got that right. They're trying to reduce, the stress and the time you spend and the energy you spend on driving every day, so you can do other stuff.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be a huge selling factor for Model Y, because now you've got that same experience, but you've got a bigger dimension, right? You've got more space for people and stuff,
right?
But at a lower price point, right? Now people don't have to go for a Model X just because they got a kid or something,
right?
Or they have to take family around. Now they can spend probably, as much as only half of what they would have to pay for
less
a Model.
than that, right?
Yeah,
like even less than that.
Right. So they can pay less than half for the same experience and get,
Yeah, to kill
Yeah,
it.
95% of the Model X.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're missing a dash, but that's it.
Yeah, you're missing a dash and the Falcon wing doors.
Wings, yeah.
But you get most of everything else. So I
Yeah.
think that's going to be a home run for Tesla.
Definitely.
And I definitely agree with Elon. They're going to sell way more Model Y than everything else once
Right.
it comes out. So
That is the car that they're gonna
Yeah.
sell the most of. Hey guys, it's Jerry. I'm with Jeff, and today we're gonna talk about the Tesla Model Y.
do you want me to do it too?
All right.
Sorry. Okay.
All right, sit.
All right.